Welcome into the Gaming Discourse. I'm Tyler Frater alongside Richard Day the Cruz.
Hello.
And Chief Engineer, Lieutenant Commander Connor Frater.
Hello.
It is Monday, April 10th, 2023. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook at the Gaming Discourse. Go to our YouTube channel, YouTube/Gaming Discourse, where we post videos. I just posted a video about Scorn. The title of the video is H.R. Giger, Zdzisław Bekczynski, and the Terror of Scorn. Unfortunately, it didn't perform as well as our previous stuff. So if you haven't seen it, go like it, go comment, let the video run, do all that fun stuff. I did get some good feedback though. Apparently people liked it, which was good because I had no idea if it was any good or not. so I'm glad.
Okay, I'm gonna give this a quick watch.
Oh yeah, just a quick 13 minutes real quick. Yeah, sure. No, go check it out. I really enjoyed making that one though because I did a little bit of reading about Giger, a little bit of reading about Bekczynski, and that kind of art's fantastic. I even read some J.G. Ballard, who I've never read before, but I read a short story of his, which was cool. That's one of the inspirations behind the game is J.G. Ballard, who is a novelist, short storyist, who did a lot of science fiction and like weird science fiction that kind of fit in that world. And also specifically with I Have No Mouth, But I Must Scream, Harlan Ellison. Mm-hmm. So that one in there too. But yeah, really, I really enjoyed Scorn. I think it's probably one of my favorite horror games ever. But yeah, the combat's just really bad. The combat's bad, checkpoints meh. But I kind of hope Ebb Software does something more with that because I feel like there's a whole lot more they could do with that art style or that kind of style of game because I thought it was really cool. Okay, we've got news, we've got games. Connor, why don't you talk about what? Oh, and go to patreon.com. Gaming Discourse, $2, $4, $7, $10. You can get your name in the credits. You can get early access to videos. A bunch more fun stuff. Connor, would you like to talk about what you've been playing?
Sure. That's it.
Richard, would you like to talk about what you've been playing?
Resident Evil 4.
All right.
It's all Resident Evil 4 all day, every day. Well, no, not all day, every day.
And it came out before last week's show and you weren't here. Because you were sick,
yeah.
AKA just chugging away.
You can't,
kidding.
yeah,
just
no,
kidding.
A little bit. You can't.
No, it did come out, but when you were here.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay,
you
so
can't escape the changing of the seasons. And if you're an allergy sufferer,
it's the time of the season.
Yeah, you'll get got, and so I got for about a week. But I'm better now. But I beat Resident Evil 4 while I was in my status, and I loved it. I loved it very much. I got used to the controls that were giving me some issues at the start, and I still don't know why. I kept tweaking, I kept turning things on and off, and I still find myself having trouble because I'm despite however long I've been playing games, I have a very large tendency to overshoot and undershoot aiming. I have no idea why.
Try that sensitivity. Turn the sensitivity down, maybe.
Yeah, but I need to be fast, like in order to like, anyways.
Get good. Just kidding.
Get good. But I think my first playthrough took me just about 16 hours, which is average for what I remember my playtimes on Resident Evil 4 being.
Wow, okay.
VR version was about 13 hours.
Oh, way faster than me. Yeah.
Oh, well, not that like it was. There were parts where I was, even though once again, like I mentioned, it was all like new stuff or slightly shifted around.
Yes.
I still was like, oh, okay, I know where I'm at. And I kind of like already had, but in doing so, the weird thing is I did miss things. I did miss whole ass areas.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I can't very well keep track of things that I've already passed by. So I hate the locked key drawer system. I hate that.
Do you buy the maps?
I do.
Okay, because it'll tell you, like, because it doesn't tell you it's a drawer.
Yeah.
It just tells you the treasure icon there.
Yeah, the treasure icon.
So that is a little like, because you'll see it and you'll think, oh, I'll pick that up later. And then an hour later, you're like, oh, it's a chest. I'll do this later. And then your brain doesn't like correctly. And then before you know it, you go through a door boss fight and you can't get
You're
back.
already too. Yeah, because there is a section in the village part where if you don't get a locked drawer, that whole area gets blocked off to you because of destruction that starts happening. And so I, for my second playthrough for the second time in a row, like I'm locked out of an achievement I can't get because I've missed. That was the only item I missed, and I couldn't go back. So it's very frustrating because I'm gonna play it again and go through it, which I was trying to get all the achievements for, and we'll see if I do. But I am in a little bit past the halfway point of my second playthrough on hardcore.
Okay.
And this time I'm somewhat speed running it, and I'm performing a lot of the skips that people have found already.
Oh, awesome.
I completely skipped the Mendez fight. I did not have to fight him.
Oh, who is Mendez?
Mendez is the big cheese with the hat at the barn. And he turns into like a centipede, and he like
throws barrels at you. Duh, I'm stupid. Okay,
yeah. I completely skipped that.
You skipped that fight.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So they found it, and I saved the video, and I was going to send it to you just like earlier this week. I was going to send it to you, but when you crouch and you turn and you talk to the merchant outside while you like back up, and you like glitch through the wall. And you just like kind of run around the pathway to the back, and Mendez is just like there in his second form, just like kind of chilling. But because there's no trigger, he's just standing there, and you can just walk past him. and Ashley will keep like don't leave me, like where are you going? But you'll hit the cutscene trigger
that
for that area.
It
just skips it. So
that's awesome.
So
okay,
I think right now I'm at just under 5 hours. Wow, and I'm already on my way to fight Salazar.
Okay.
But in the first time I played, even though I was going through somewhat slowly, I completely missed the forest altar, which gives you some really neat. When you first start the game, there's a cutscene of cultists killing somebody or sacrificing somebody. And then you find documents about 2 hikers who got kidnapped. Well, you find those 2 hikers, and I didn't know.
I missed this too.
Yeah. I didn't know that because when I was gathering all the treasures, it's right after you get the boat and you get the insignia key. If you drive back to like an earlier area, there's a door with that insignia, and you open it, and it goes to the altar, and those 2 hikers are there, and it's a really neat additional area. That's also really sucky because there's really not much to it. There's no like super crazy collectibles besides the clockwork Castilian little wooden thing you got to shoot. That's the only thing there, but it kind of is more or less just a nod to some foreshadowing nod that they put in for something you heard about like in the earlier part of the game. And it kind of sucks because, these 2 hikers, these 2 women didn't really deserve what they got, and so you run across them, so that really sucks. And then I found I haven't encountered the throne room with the chair.
Oh really?
Yeah, I missed that first time around.
Really?
I completely missed it. Missed that. Yeah.
Wow.
And so now on my second playthrough, I hope I'm gonna find it again, but I have the hand cannon now, so just infinite ammo magnum, just all day every day. So I love it. There's a lot of stuff that they changed that I enjoy. Not much I don't enjoy other than crafting things. I think that's a little bit of a cumbersome mechanic, but it's not, doesn't make or break anything. It's just there. Mostly because shotgun is like my go-to weapon.
Sure.
And I run out of ammo like nothing. And beyond that, not much else, but I'm sure you'll have more to say that I can jump in on because I can't keep my thoughts straight a lot of times. But that's it. Resident Evil 4.
I enjoyed it a lot. I think they definitely took a straighter approach with this one. We were talking before the podcast that the original RE4 was a lot more campy and silly and stuff. And this one seems to be a little more straightforward. I think it's scarier in like the soundtrack, for instance. Some of the soundtracks are just like ambient screeching. Not really a musical score as much as it is just a horror like soundscape almost that plays while you're fighting enemies or something like that. So that sets a certain tone. I think just some of the visuals are just a bit creepier. There's one little part where there's all these bodies that are sitting around an altar, and I'm not sure. I don't remember if that was in the first game, the first version or not. So maybe it's just because the visuals are better, that it's somewhat creepier. I don't know. But it's not as ridiculous as the first one. I don't think it's. I think both can stand on their own, and this is a good. PC Gamer has a story. Somebody for PC Gamer wrote a story, and the headline was, "I don't care if remakes are good or bad. I want to be able to play the first game regardless." And I agree with that, right? So like, you should be able to play the original Dead Space, just like you should be able to watch an original movie for the rest of the time. Hopefully, regardless of the remake. Point Break, you should be able to watch. Johnny Utah Get His Man, and the remake, which had Chris Hemsworth or something in it. Don't know. That's just the one remake that came to my head. But it's interesting that this is a bit of a different take, bit of a more like straighter edge, which is cool. But there's still some of that like Leon silliness there. I think his relationship with Ashley is a bit more human in this one.
Yes.
You can even. And okay, it hints that Ashley is in college in this one, which would put her kind of close to around Leon's age, because Leon was like early 20s.
He was early 20s in Resident Evil 2.
And then how many years was it between this?
6 or 8.
Yeah, so she's early 20s, he's like late 20s. That's not like a 45-year-old and a 20-year-old age difference or anything like that. Right? What I'm trying to get to is there are definitely times where it feels like there's a little bit of like, maybe not romance, but maybe not total flirtation.
There is an attraction.
But like an attraction there. Now, between Leon and Ada, it is almost straight up explicit. There is definitely sexual tension there, which is fun to watch on screen. Did you have so Ada's voice acting was like one of the controversial things, I guess.
Yeah.
It's funny because I saw a couple cutscenes with her. Didn't think a thing of it.
I did not either.
And then the controversy happened, and I was like, okay. So now every single time Ada talks, I'm like trying to, okay, am I dumb or is that just a fine? Like, she definitely delivers her lines straightforward and matter of fact, especially compared to the Ada in Resident Evil 4. But is it bad? I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think they just decided to have Ada be played as a more straightforward, stoic person who has a job to do, and that's it.
She's kind of icy, stone cold.
Yeah.
Kind of. But there's still that sexual tension between her and Leon. There's a shot in when they see each other and they do the thing where they like fight for a second and then they become friends or whatever. But the way it's framed is there's a split second where she brings her leg down and Leon like catches her leg and it focuses on it for a second and then it cuts to something else. Clearly innuendo, right? So, and that's really cool framing. That's really cool. That's a director thinking, let's have a shot like this. It's a cool action shot. It's an innuendo. That's two characters. That's a nice little moment. So that sexual tension is still there. In the original one, she was much closer to like just ridiculous
Catwoman.
Yeah, exactly. That's a really good example. So if you like, I think if you're somebody who prefers that sort of portrayal, that's fine. That's not wrong, but I don't see Ada in this one as like a bad portrayal.
No, I don't either.
Like objectively horrible or anything like that.
I don't either. I think she's great. I do miss, there's a couple things I remember. I do miss, I miss the tablet thing that you speak to people on. I don't like the square in the middle when people like video call you. Yeah. I think it's a bit late. I don't want to say lazy. It looks lazy the way it's presented.
Because the other one was like Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, you would get a call and it would go to a separate cutscene of like you were on a video call, like speaking to somebody. And you even had, when you first got your call in the original Resident Evil, you pull out the tablet thing and you would talk to that person. I do miss that. I know it's like a little thing. I think the Krauser fight, specifically in this one, is so much more fun and interesting if you haven't got to it yet.
Oh, I'm planning. I got the Magnum. And I had 30 spinels or whatever. Yeah. And I was just waiting because I was like, what weapon do I want to upgrade? And it's like this one ×2
damage
capacity. And I'm like, okay, I don't want that. And then there was a with the Magnum, the one that like Arnold Schwarzenegger uses in Terminator with a laser on top of it. It was like ×5 for critical hits. Yeah. I'm like, yes, please.
Absolutely.
I'll take that, and I'll save you for that douchebag at the end.
And I don't think that I still think that the story between Krauser and Leon is very weak because they don't give it to us really in Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
And they tried to in a later game, but no one can play it anymore because it's not available readily.
Which one is that? It's
called the Dark Side Chronicles, Resident Evil Dark Side Chronicles.
Oh, man, okay.
It was on the Wii and PS3. It was a light gun shooter.
Oh,
and it went through Resident Evil 2 and I think Code Veronica. Like they just remade it into a light gun shooter style, but they made a new campaign featuring Leon and Krauser and what happened during that time. Oh,
interesting. Okay.
Yeah, which I never got to play because they also tried to do this as a light gun shooter. They tried to do the like found footage camera thing.
Whoa.
And so like the screen is shaking while you're trying to shoot things, and it's just like, this is terrible. It was dumb.
Oh no.
Sorry,
okay.
but anyways.
No, fine.
But yeah, very, very impressive. And Luis is a great character all around as well, to being non-existent in the original version to now being quite a cool character in my opinion.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, I think that's maybe what I mean by like it's just more real and straight. Feels like characters are given a little more weight. There are cutscenes where there's like real dialogue. Mm-hmm. It's not just cheesy 100% of the time.
All they did simply for remake was just translate a game from 20 years ago into today's standards.
Yeah,
I think
in some ways, definitely. Yeah. It would be cool though to see them go back to those. To have sort of the visuals and the sort of the gameplay tweaks from this one with the campiness of the original. Because some people, I think that campiness is part of Resident Evil 4's identity. I think if you remade Metal Gear Solid and it was straight, everybody would be like, wait, what? Because to a lot of people, campy in Metal Gear Solid, sort of that's the whole thing. That's the idea. That's its identity. So I'm really excited. I still think my favorite Resident Evil I have played, well, the VR version notwithstanding, is the Resident Evil 2 remake. I still think that's my favorite one. And that one is like the real, at least from what I remember playing, it's like the real tough survival horror where you really have to save bullets and you're avoiding zombies or you're killing zombies with your knife, you know. And this one, it's a lot more action, tons of weapons. The first carrying case you get, it ups the amount of bullets you find. So there's maybe been one or two times where I was low on ammo. Other than that, also I use the crossbow a lot. That thing's awesome. Yeah. You shoot dudes in the knee, you kick them in the head, takes care of them really nice.
Yep.
So yeah, I've been loving the crossbow. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to beating it, and I may go through it again because there's a bunch of weapons I just haven't touched.
Okay. Nice.
So because I've just used the Punisher pistol, the crossbow, I have a shotgun. And then, like, I've used the RPG on bosses. But other than that, I haven't used any of the SMGs. I haven't really used any of the rifles. So going back through it may be fun to force myself to use, like, different weapons. Anything else that you want to talk about? Sorry,
nope.
Games-wise.
Nope.
The other game I'm playing right now is Everspace 2, which I'm working on it's either going to be a review or just a video. I'm not sure. So the first Everspace is my favorite roguelike of all time, and it's an excellent, excellent game. I think probably the best roguelike ever is probably Hades, but my personal favorite is definitely Everspace. So Everspace 2 is a different context. It's single-player open world. And so it's a different pace. It's a totally different genre. But so far, it is excellent. It's just a spaceship shooter game. You fly around, you go to different star systems, different planets. It's not like Elite Dangerous or Stars or No Man's Sky, where you can go around the entire planet or anything. You're in your ship the whole time, but people compare it to like Freelancer, Rebel Galaxy Outlaw, stuff like that. But the characters are really fun. Adam, so in the first game, how it excuses all the lives is that you are a military clone. So every time you die, your next life is the next clone. So the Adam that you're playing in Everspace 2 is the Adam that finally broke out of the cycle and went out into space to live his life. Mm-hmm. So you meet a cool cast of characters thus far. You can upgrade your ship all kinds of ways. You've got sensors, shields, weapons, armor plating, all kinds of stuff, and it's very much a looter. PC Gamer compared it to Diablo, and I thought that was a pretty good comparison because everything You find loot all over the place. You upgrade different portions of your ship. Loot has rarity. So if you find a common Gatling gun, an hour later, you may find a green Gatling gun. You pick that green one up. And then 2 hours later, you find a common Gatling gun, but that one's level 5. And yours is level 2. Yeah. So you swap out the common one for the... Mm-hmm. And you can upgrade all those or change their rarity with stuff. You can upgrade your shields and whatnot unless you find ones that you want. There's a bunch of different ships with different, I guess how I would describe the classes in this game are the ships that you buy, right? Yeah. So generally speaking, you're going to have really fast ships that don't have a lot of health, or really slow ships that are big, but they're not very fast. And that's how kind of things are organized, right? But then those ships have subclasses that is like their special abilities. So I think the first ships has an ultimate power where if you let it charge up and you use it, all the weapons get fired at once into this giant beam and you do a ton of damage.
Oh, cool.
But it's that one, I believe it's that one type of ship. You swap out to a different ship and like that model of ship has a different ult associated with it, right?
Okay.
And then between all these ships, they also have different... One ship may have only 2 primary weapon slots. Another one may have 4, right? And the benefit there is your weapons work off of a charge, right? So it's like you fire it for 10 seconds, it has to recharge, right?
Okay.
And each one has its own charge. What that means is if you have 4 weapons, you can fire one for 10 seconds. As soon as it depletes, you just swap to the next weapon. You fire that one, swap to the next weapon. So you can imagine if you have 4 weapons and say each one has a 10-second cooldown, right? That's 40 seconds of continuous firing, as opposed to a ship with only 2 weapon slots where you only get to fire twice and both those weapons are depleted. You have to wait. There's all kinds of stuff like that. I'm really excited to get further into it. It starts off relatively slow. The combat is just excellent. The combat is phenomenal.
2 words.
Do we have that drop?
I don't have it.
The combat is
Jim Rome?
phenomenal. It is... So your ship is not... You don't fly like an airplane. You fly like a really fast helicopter, right? So it's like... I think it's like 6 degrees of freedom or whatever. So you go back, forward, left, right, up, down, and you pirouette. You kind of spin in circles and stuff. All kinds of fun. And you have a booster, so when you boost left, right, up, down. Your boosting doesn't just take you forward, it takes you in the direction that you're flying. So you can, like, as your ship is pointing at something, you can kind of boost laterally.
You can strafe.
Spin around and
That's
like
cool.
Boost strafing. Yeah. And once all the projectiles, and this is something that the first game did, all the projectiles are different colors, different speeds, and when you start firing your weapons, which are different colors and different speeds, it's just an awesome laser show. It's just so much color, explosions.
It's red and green lasers.
There's all kinds of awesome effects. It's like you take out a ship and it spins for a bit and then explodes in the distance or something like that, all kinds of stuff like that. But in the first ever space, what made the first ever space really, really cool, it had the really good formula, roguelike formula. You upgraded your ship, all that stuff. But it added in so many really neat little tiny environmental details or enemy types, right? So you had, you guys probably remember me talking about black holes in the first ever space, where if you fall into one, you die, your run's over. But really close to it is really, really valuable materials.
Resources, yeah.
So there's a few ways you can get that. And one way, which was terrifying, was you let the black hole draw you in, and as soon as you pick it up, you hit your reverse engines and hope you make it out. Another one is you get a good distance away and you hit your boost jets as you're flying at the black hole, and you hope you can go right past it and sort of slingshot your way around it without it pulling you in. I haven't seen a black hole. I have not left the first star system. There's like 5 or 6 star systems in Everspace 2. I have not left the first one. So everything in the first one thus far is just very, very basic space stuff. There's not a whole lot. But there were so many awesome environmental dangers in the first one. There was one where you get really close to a star, and every now and then, like, cosmic rays would come off, and you'd have to take cover from the rays of this star. There were these awesome storms you would get into where everything was pitch black, except there was lightning, like space lightning, and as it would light up the space around you, you would see like rushing winds and clouds, but then it would go dark again, and you would just hear the sound of this big cosmic storm around you. All kinds of awesome stuff they did. So I'm really hoping that bring that into Everspace 2. The game looks gorgeous. You can't say enough about how it looks. There's one part where you go in early on, and it's an asteroid belt, but it's foggy. So, and it's foggy enough that like I was fighting enemies that I couldn't see. I was just locked on, and I saw their projectiles at me. Okay. Yeah. But they were far enough away that the fog actually blocked me physically seeing them.
Space fog.
It's awesome. It's lots of cool. It's not like in Elite Dangerous. Elite Dangerous is like the boring, realistic space.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you want to fly through a nebula? Okay, you're in the nebula. And it's like, but this doesn't look any different. Yeah. Welcome to space.
Congratulations. You're in space.
Yeah. Whereas in this one, it's like, look at this nebula that's going by you. Whoa, look at these planets. Like everything's
Whoa,
fun.
you're in a space store.
Yeah. But there's a lot of fun.
Space lighting and space fog.
Yeah. That's a lot of fun. Make fun of my games. No.
Hey, you guys make fun of my UI all the time. Give me this one.
Okay, you can have it. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to. I'm having a ton of fun so far. I'd definitely recommend it if you're into like space shooters and stuff like that. I can't get past the combat in the first Everspace got insanely intense because you had different enemy ships that you had to take out in different ways, and so you'd be twirling at high speeds, firing, switching weapons. It got so awesome. And in this one, there has been a few times, it's pretty simple starting out, but there has been a few times where it's like I'm flying super high speeds and doing different kinds of like things, and that's when Everspace is really, really good. Another awesome thing is these levels are big enough that you have to fly at like it's a sublight speed, but it's a speed that you go, I don't know, probably like a couple 100 kilometers an hour, right? So you can't fight at this speed or fly around asteroid fields because you're going way too fast. But you can, if there's like two wrecks of two different spaceships in an area and they're kind of far apart, you can hit this booster and you boost there, right? It's real time. But what makes this awesome is if you see a group of enemies in the distance, you can boost and you can straight up boost into them, cut it off, and then as your momentum's taking you in, just guns blazing as you fly into the squadron of enemy fighters, and it's straight out of there's another ship coming in. It's the Enterprise.
I was about to say, it sounds like a Picard maneuver.
It's exactly that. Like, well, I mean, the Picard maneuver was using warp to play in two places at once.
Shut up.
Shut
up.
Hey, let me have my one thing.
No. This whole podcast is your one thing.
Well,
it's good. It's good. I gotta have a one thing next.
You got stories, and you got tidbits.
I do.
I get UI. That's it.
All right. I got two things.
Do we want to do the story now, or do we want to?
No, we did to the end.
Okay, go ahead and we'll hit the ad. Thanks for listening. If you like our content, please consider subscribing or leaving a like and comment. You can find us at patreon.com/thegamingdiscourse. And our tiers are $2, $4, $7, and $10 and include getting your name in the video credits, early access, and access to our Discord server. It was the Stargazer, this first
More like ball gazer.
Richard, what's going on, man?
Microsoft has decided to shut down game emulation on the Xbox Series S and X models. On September 6th, Twitter user Gamer13, who Kotaku says helped distribute RetroArch, tweeted a screenshot of their Xbox saying the app that they were trying to launch violates Microsoft Store policy. You can still install emulators on the Xbox console if you activate your dev mode, which is $20.
$20 a month, or is it?
I was always aware that it was $20 once.
What? Okay, that may be wrong then. I thought it was $20 a month. If it's $20 once, okay. Sorry, continue.
Anyways. The crackdown has been escalating in recent months. Gamer13 told Kotaku, quote, essentially Microsoft would crack down on my uploads where they used to last months to wait, hold on. Crack down on my updates where they used to last months to weeks to days until now.
There you
Got it. So I would simply re-upload the apps whenever they were taken down. You get newcomers and everyone's back up and running. The crackdown started to ramp up around the end of the summer going into autumn. End quote.
Yeah, so this sucks. And I know I saw a lot of people talking about that this was one of the big selling points for the console, but I mean, really think
for
so.
a small subgroup of people,
for
yes.
a really small niche of people, because I think I don't think anyone's going to Target and saying, "Hey, which one of these games, which one of these consoles is better for emulation?" Right? Mm-hmm. It'd be great if people were, but it's not a common thing. But I don't know why this is the case, and I don't want to get super conspiracy theory laden here, but like why the change in policy? I guess it's been going on for a couple months now, but if a company like Valve, which is not as big as Microsoft, but maybe as influential when it comes to gaming, if not more influential when it comes to the game sector, can be as open about emulation as they are, like I wonder why a company like Microsoft can't.
Because Valve doesn't compete with Sony and Nintendo.
Yes.
But what does that have to do?
Steam is a storefront.
Yeah.
Whereas Microsoft is not.
Yeah.
Like Microsoft it's their console. Mm-hmm. And there was a loophole to use to
definitely
get this app on your Xbox. So for them, under their rules, that's not something you were supposed to do, so they squashed it. At least that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I guess
there probably is some corporate pressure from Nintendo and Sony
I'm sure.
to put restraints on it.
That's what I was insinuating, but I don't know if that's necessarily the case, because again, it's not like Xbox or Microsoft is necessarily more egalitarian than those companies. I guess the question I was trying to get to is, if a company like Valve can be more open to things like this, then why can't Microsoft? And if you pay $20 a month or a one-time fee of $20,
it's a flat 20.
It is a flat 20.
Yep.
Okay. Then you get that. Then you have that available. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It just, I don't know. It just seems like it's just a weird policy.
Yeah. Right.
You're gonna enforce this unless you pay $20. Then there's nothing. But again, I don't know the tech. I don't know if the tech necessitates that somehow. But I assume Microsoft would have a way.
The wording
even
does,
if you paid $20, you wouldn't be able to use it for emulation. I don't know.
Because you paid $20, it's like, congratulations, you activated developer mode on your console, so you can do developer things if you're a developer. So then the rules change, so
it's bureaucracy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now Nintendo doesn't have anything like that, correct?
No.
And PlayStation doesn't have anything like that.
No,
right?
no. Well, this is an oversight consequence of having your console be very similar to a PC.
Okay. Because it is a Windows-based system.
It is a Windows-based system. It has an app store on it to download apps, and that's the workaround that these guys use. Because I did this like 2 months ago before I realized, like, wait, I have like so many other things I could do. But I had to, in order to find this, I had to join a Discord to where they would give me the link to go download this. So right off the bat, that tells you it's not something that you're supposed to do immediately.
Sanctioned.
Yeah,
of course.
So. And I did it, and I put it on for like a day, and then I was just like, why am I doing this? And I took it. It was very cool, and I told a lot of people about it because it's a very neat thing that if you're able to do with your console, I think you should do it. But yeah, I didn't find a use for it, so I took it off. But yeah, and then even then, if you did have it, if you happen to accidentally upload a screenshot of you playing something to the Xbox network, they would immediately soft ban you. Not like hard ban you, like you'd be suspended for like a week or whatever. But yeah, it's just, I think it's just like wording and the pathways of how to get to said application is.
So do you think because of Microsoft, they were big on backwards compatibility last gen, and I'm not sure what the Xbox One Series X. Can it play Xbox One games? The disc?
Yes.
I don't know.
Oh yeah. It's all backwards compatible for Xbox One. Not for 360. It's still backwards compatible with the games that they have deemed backwards compatible.
Okay.
Until this point.
So there's a big backwards compatibility there, and that was like a philosophy that they believed in. And I think this having something that's like emulation enabled, I feel like falls in line with Microsoft's, or well, Xbox's, because Xbox is not Microsoft. With Xbox's sort of vision of sort of the environment, right? The ecosystem of being open and playing games everywhere and stuff like that. But Microsoft is sort of the larger corporation there, and it is running on Windows, so there's things like that. Okay, I'm still bummed out because, you know, I'm a radical preservationist.
Yeah.
So if a game exists and the company isn't making real money off of that game anymore, then it should be free and access to everybody. So, are we ready to move on?
I'll just say that. I mean,
go ahead, Connor.
If you have, you know, an Xbox Series S or Series X, and you are, you know, about game preservation, $20.
Yeah.
$20, and you can preserve all the games you want.
Yeah, I will say about the Steam Deck, because the comments that I saw about the Series X and that being a big selling point /S, it's like, okay, it's a big selling point for nerds like us, but, you know, nobody else. That is a big selling point of the Steam Deck, because the Steam Deck was made for nerds like us.
Yeah.
So if Valve ever started really cracking down on emulation or stuff like that, that'd be a huge, like, tectonic shift in the way things are done. And that would be a huge drawback to because a ton of people are cracking open their decks and switching stuff out. I downloaded Emulate. I played. You gave me that copy of Silent Hill 2.
Oh, hey, buddy. Oh, hey.
Still at the store.
I didn't do anything. All right.
No. You gave me that copy.
I think that also goes.
I walked in here. You're fired. No.
I think that also goes with the philosophy of like PC gaming versus console gaming. It's console gaming historically has been
a closed system.
Closed. You get what you get. For PC gaming, it was the wild fucking west. You did whatever the hell you wanted. Fucking make it out of a toaster if you can.
This is true.
And with you know, and we keep coming back to the supposed like belief system of Gabe Newell being possibly libertarian.
Oh no, he's definitely libertarian.
Yeah, all right. Then and his insistence on constantly using Linux based like, you know, OSs to run all of this stuff. Whereas Linux, if you know how to use Linux, you can do whatever the hell you want. It definitely makes sense that Steam is just like, yeah, whatever, man. Do it.
I do remember that it was a couple months ago when Valve did a showcase for the deck or something, a trailer. And on the game footage, there was the clip art, the box art for, I think it was Dolphin.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Is Dolphin the Wii?
Dolphin is Wii and GameCube.
Yeah.
Okay, that emulator, and they took it down and replaced it, and there was something else there for that box art. So they definitely know that there's an issue with emulation. But again, shout out to Nintendo, because we know they're listening. There's nothing wrong with emulation. Get the hell out of here. Game preservation. There's nothing.
If you're not going to do it,
it is morally okay to pirate all Nintendo's games. Okay, moving on. Life by You is going to take on The Sims, published by Paradox Interactive, and it's slated for an early access release on September 12th. Rod Humble, a creative director on Sims, is creative lead for the project. According to Axios, characters will have basic needs like hunger and energy. The game will have nudity, and the characters will speak actual languages, though I didn't see what specific languages, but that is interesting. Users will be able to mod every aspect of the game, and Humble tells Axios that users who create extra content for the game will be able to sell that content. Humble told Axios, quote, "I want the emotional center of this game to be more grown up and respect the audience's intelligence." So we don't usually talk about game announcements, but I think this is a special one, because I've always thought this is something that should happen, and this is the second time Paradox has done something like this.
If this works, this is going to be Paradox going 2 for 2 with taking sim type games, from EA and be like, hey, we're going to do that, but better. Yeah. And I think this is I have said in the past, if I owned a game company, this is all I would do. Is I would take ideas, I would take War Thunder, right, and I would make it into a good game that doesn't have the most atrocious monetization and menu of all time. I think
and I would make
War
it that
Thunder
game.
is doing a real service to humanity with its community leaking classified documentation of vehicles.
Yeah, I'm sure they're doing great.
They did it again a couple weeks ago, by the way.
Yeah, I don't even know
I'm surprised it doesn't happen every day.
Yeah, I'm surprised too.
But anyway, what they did with
City Skylines, which City Skylines 2 is coming out.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that.
And there's a VR version of City Skylines.
What?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had not heard about this game until now, and I went to the Steam page to look at it. And this is the Paradox is about to fuck some shit up.
It's Sims. It's just Sims.
No, not only is it Sims, you can edit dialogue trees.
Yeah,
you can create your own stories.
There's a whole like mod.
Right. The visual novel genre is going to go nuts with this.
Yep.
And this is quite incredible, in my opinion, actually. And this is
so I hope it's good. I'm not usually into this. I played Sims when I was a kid. I'm not into it now.
I'm not.
A ton of people are though. So it's one of those games where you either like it or you don't. But I've always felt bad because I have a friend who's into Sims, and I have talked to her in the past, but she's not really into video games, right? She knows video games. She's played like Oblivion and stuff. But she like Sims is one of her favorite games.
Yeah.
But she doesn't know the industry because it's not something she follows because she has a life. And I once explained to her, like, Sims could be so much better than it is, but it's held back by a publisher that sucks. And that nickels and dimes it, right?
Well, it is telling because I would probably gather a large majority of the player base still playing Sims are using mods, like unofficial mods. Yes. Yeah.
You think so?
No, they are.
No,
they absolutely are.
Like,
yeah, they absolutely are.
I'm not down with the Sims modding community, so I don't know this.
Like if you look up like any like mainstream like Sims like
conversations
YouTuber, or conversation content creator, it is a laundry list of third-party mods that they're using to make the game playable.
But those mods are going to be more difficult to implement, though, correct? I'm not saying, not theoretically. They are more difficult to implement because you're playing an Electronic Arts game, and Electronic Arts isn't necessarily going out of their way to make their games moddable. So I assume Sims is probably more difficult right now to mod, as opposed to something like this, where this is coming out and they have the idea of like the community working in mods as a starter.
There have been, gonna get into this, but another facet of the mod community for Sims is like adult themed mods.
Yeah, sure, nudity,
and those are huge, and they haven't been touched by EA. So I don't know if it's as difficult as we think. Yeah. It's just.
Well, okay. Let me put it a different way. There's not the infrastructure in place. If it's easy to mod Sims, EA isn't putting things in place to help with that.
Yeah, okay, got it. Yes.
As opposed to Paradox, and Connor, you may be able to speak to this, but it feels like Paradox sort of helps along.
Paradox really outsources a lot of its development to its fan base. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, which is one kind of downside to Paradox, but.
However,
when it comes to mods,
they're sort of a
pro-mod organization.
Yeah, they are very much in favor of handing their game off to the community and saying, tinker. Mm-hmm. And then cool shit happens, and they're like, oh, we're going to take inspiration for that. Or, which is it's happened a few times, oh, we're going to contact that modder and see if they want to like work alongside our devs and make that a feature rather than a mod.
Yeah. So anyway, to sort of circle back, that's what makes me excited about this game. Yeah. We usually don't talk about just game announcements, but this isn't just another game. This is this idea of, whether it's sports games, there's one big football game, and I would love if there was multiple football games putting competition on one another. But right now there's one big one. But there's small games like Access Football, that's come out every year since like 2020. I haven't played it. Yeah, it's just a smaller game made by a smaller developer who even has a Patreon page.
Cool.
But it's like they're trying to make a professional football simulator because there really isn't an alternate to Madden. Right. And Madden is not treated well by Electronic Arts. Mm-mm. And you could say the same thing for a lot of sports. Baseball is probably the best represented sport, maybe, because there's a couple different baseball Super
Mega Baseball, RBI Baseball,
the show.
outside of like the licensed, you know. But anyway, back to things like SimCity or The Sims. For a long time, City Managers, it was like that was sort of the one company that was making it. City Skylines comes out and
knocks it out of the park.
Finally, somebody just does that, and it's like, okay, thank God, right? So I'm hoping this is good. It seems like they have a lot of stuff going on with mods, and you can do all kinds of crazy things. So I hope it's all implemented well. But this is the sort of thing that I think the games industry needs more of. It needs more copycats, right? Yeah. We talk about when Genshin Impact first came out.
Oh yeah,
Richard, you and I remember you. I don't know if you were here or not. For some reason, I specifically remember talking to Richard about this. But Genshin Impact had like the same. Wait, was it Genshin Impact? Has like the same art style as Breath of the Wild?
It has the same backbone.
Okay.
As Breath of the Wild, yeah.
But I remember there was some resistance to that, and it was like, why?
Yeah, there's a lot of it's just a clone, yeah.
But like, why not take from other things and do other things with the good things that are out there? Yeah. Well, and especially why not take from things and do better than things that are doing poorly? Or
I think poorly. Just the recap on that, the pushback for Genshin Impact is taking away from Holy Nintendo.
Oh, okay. I mean,
yeah, possibly.
It was the perfect company.
It always happens, man. Like it really does. When I worked GameStop, God of War was, or no, sorry, not GameStop. God of War, when it was first revealed, was seen as an American Devil May Cry. Like, and then we had Castlevania, Lords of Shadow, the 3D one took from God of War. And everybody ragged on it for that, you know, and so it will happen all the time, and until two can, because Genshin Impact still by some is seen by like Zelda ripoff, but it obviously stands on its own now, like billions of dollars in revenue, and even to that point, there are 2 new games that I've seen on ads recently coming out, exact like copy and paste, and they're probably going to do well because it's something else besides what out there. So yeah, no, something like this definitely needs to happen.
Yeah. But yeah, it made me excited. It made me excited not just because the game looks cool, but also because people deserve a better Sims game. Damn it. They deserve a better publisher than Electronic Arts. And why does EA even care? Like if I had Andrew Wilson in front of me, I would just ask him, Andy, listen to me, bro. Why do you even give a shit about all these other things? You make so much money off of your stupid microtransactions for sports games. Cut the stuff you really don't care about. Get rid of Dead Space. Send it to somebody who cares. Get rid of SimCity. Get rid of all this stuff that you make that doesn't really make you a ton of money. You know, let Respawn go off and be with somebody who cares because you clearly don't love them, and you just keep making money, ill-gotten gains off of loot boxes and FIFA.
If I can give what I think would be his answer, would be to quote. To quote Charlie's mom from It's Always Sunny when she's saying his speech about her having cancer. Money me, give me money. Money, much money now.
That is impressive that you know that off the top of your head. An underrated character in Always Sunny is
Charlie's mom.
Is Charlie's mom, who sends the notes that look like
hieroglyphics
ransom notes, but just how she talks with Charlie. Okay, moving on. The DOJ has filed a civil suit against Activision Blizzard. This story is a little weird. So Activision Blizzard owns and operates the Overwatch League and Call of Duty League. The DOJ is saying that league rules violated the Sherman Antitrust Act. Now, we are not lawyers. The Sherman Antitrust Act, Sherman, another character from Always Sunny in Philadelphia. That's about all I know. All I know about the Sherman Antitrust.
Sherman, also a great general, even better tank.
Won the war. We're not going to talk about this. We're getting off topic. Violated the Sherman Antitrust Act. So there's a competitive balance tax, which is a fine if a team goes over a salary cap in these leagues. So if the salary cap is $1 million, your roster of players, their salaries equate to $1.2 million. You pay $200,000. There's in a lot of sports leagues, this is called a luxury tax. I think every league, but what is it? I think Major League Baseball. Every other league, I think, has a salary cap that you can't go past. Baseball does it differently. There's like a salary cap and stuff. That's why the Dodgers and Yankees and apparently the Padres now spend billions of dollars or whatever. Anyway, the cap was $1.6 million. In October 2021, after the DOJ began investigating the tax, Activision Blizzard said they would no longer implement or enforce a competitive balance tax. The important distinction here is that in leagues like the MLB and stuff, they have the salary cap is one of the things that they set when they collectively bargain with a union, right? So in Major League Baseball, you have the Major League Players Association, who every couple of years they set the terms with the owners. There's salary caps, there's luxury tax, all that stuff. So these are not imposed upon the players. It is a
agreement between.
It's an agreement. It's a collective bargaining agreement between the players and the owners of the sport, right? But that's not necessarily the case here because there is not a union that represents
gamers.
There's not a Call of Duty League Players Association or anything like that. According to Jacob Wolf, who covers esports, the two sides were working on a settlement, but those talks apparently fell through, and now the DOJ has filed a civil suit. So they dropped the rules. They were going to work on a settlement. Apparently that settlement wasn't good enough for the DOJ. And now the DOJ just decided, okay, we're just going to sue you, even though they had previously already dropped the rules. So there's a lot of legal stuff in here. And it says, so they own and operate these two leagues. And so my only guess, talking out of my depth here, kind of sounds like, and Activision Blizzard has also, this may be wrong too, but haven't they sort of been phasing out their esports stuff?
Seemingly, yeah.
Right? So it kind of seems like this is something they don't really love to spend money on. They didn't want to spend a bunch of money on a bunch of players across the country to form teams, but they were doing it anyway. And so they put this tax thing in here because I'm assuming because they own and operate the league, the funding comes from them for these teams, or somehow partially from them, maybe, I don't know. So that's why you put the salary cap there, because you don't want one team all of a sudden making $20 million. You're like, shit, now these guys that we put out here for our games are making a ton of money. Even though, as professional competitors, athletes, whatever you want to call them, they should be paid however much the market's going to dictate if you're going to do this kind of thing. But so if my interpretation, which may be totally wrong, is it kind of feels like Activision Blizzard just didn't really wanted to have the leagues, but didn't really want to deal with the financials and the business aspect of it. They did this. The DOJ didn't like it. Activision Blizzard dropped it, and now they're getting sued. Do we have anything we want to say about Activision Blizzard here?
Nah, fuck them.
I mean, that's fine.
Yeah,
I'm way out of my depth here.
Okay, cool.
Like I mean, I watch Overwatch League here and there, but I have no idea about any of this stuff. So
that's it gives me a reason to talk sports. So, and another problem with something like this is, or something like with paying athletes or whatever, and this happens with baseball, this happened with Aaron Judge, is if an athlete gets like overpaid or whatever, then that sets a market, right? So the discussion with Aaron Judge over this past summer, who was a center fielder for the Yankees, was, okay, Aaron Judge is going to make this much money, and the Giants are going to pay him this much money, and the Giants are going to overpay for him. Well, what does overpay mean? Well, it's overpaid, not based on anything physical, but based on the market for center fielders who are doing what he's doing at his age at the time. But he just set a certain set a certain record for home runs. So it's like they're going to overpay him, right?
Because he's excelling more than others.
Because that's what because his results, all that stuff is what the market dictates, right? But as soon as you overpay somebody, something similar happened with like Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott. As soon as you like overpay a player, well, then the market shifts. So now all of a sudden the next player who's doing really well, who's coming up on a contract, their agent's going to point to that previous contract and go, hey, player X made this much money 3 years ago. My client is here. We want to make 3% more, and that's the internal struggle of athletes and professional owners.
Sounds a lot like capitalism, supply and demand, baby.
Yeah, and it's the one place where all of a sudden these huge capital owners don't want to pay for what people are worth because it's their money on the line. Anyway, I just want to talk sports and say Aaron Judge, because he hit 2 homers the other day. Hit Tidbits or whatever. Let's go. What if I told you, in this world, there are bits, and there are tids, and Richard is the only man who can put them together into tidbits.
I feel like I really want to like just start mispronouncing team names like from here on out whenever you mention something.
Do it.
The Yankees? The New York Yankees?
When you said Aaron Judge, I was going to be like, oh yeah, that guy from the New Jersey White Stripes, right? Or something like that.
That would have been funny. I would appreciate that.
At least I didn't say Boston.
No, you would have died.
Yeah, I know.
It would have been a murder on camera.
Arc 2 has been delayed, and Studio Wildcard is promptly punishing fans. As Arc 2 becomes delayed, there's an expectation that fans will stick with the first game, until then. But Studio Wildcard decided that they're going to instead re-release the original Arc as Arc Survival Ascended, which is a remaster of the original game that moves the game over to Unreal Engine 5. The only way you can get it is buying it in a $50 bundle with the sequel, which does not come out until 2024. But because of that, the original Arc Survival Evolved, those servers will be shut off.
No way,
yes.
Really?
So as soon as that game launches in August, I think, the original Arc will be shut down. So you can't play the original Arc. All original copies of Arc will be rendered moot for completely arbitrary reasons.
God. Okay, Studio Wildcard has a long and sort of...
Well, it's in their name.
Yes.
Wildcard!
Of another Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Studio Wildcard has a history of cutting the brakes, kicking up in the back doors, and jumping out of the van while it's got tons of gasoline in it. They sort of do whatever they want, and they seem to piss everybody off, especially people that play their games.
But they keep making money.
Years. Yeah, but they keep making money. Because the one game
their gamers are just in an abusive relationship.
because Arc is like the dumbest game ever made, but there's just something so silly, stupid fun about it, right? Yeah. Like, there's something hilarious about getting eaten by a megalodon or something, and it's like somebody went to, if you go to like, I don't know, Michael's, and you go to the section of the store where there's all like the toy dinosaurs and farm animals.
Yes.
It's like if someone went to Michael's and bought all those things and a bunch of random art supplies, and it's like, this is my video game, and just dumped it on some poor kid, and that kid is like, oh my god, dinosaurs, trees, what the hell's going on?
Suddenly a rock.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's Arc, and so I totally see the survival appeal because the game is bad shit crazy, but I don't. And they had that other thing. What was that pirate game that was like, they had an E3 trailer, and then
oh right, yeah,
Ace or something like that.
I don't know, but like that also comes back to the earlier conversation about like having games that people aren't making a lot of, and one thing I don't see a lot of are dinosaur games. Like, nobody's making dinosaur games, and so I think that has a little bit to do with it.
That's really because gamers don't want single player Cowboy-Dinosaur games. I would love a dinosaur cowboy game, if I'm being 100% honest.
That would be pretty sick. Dude, all right. Oh,
just one more.
Forget. All right.
Just one more Saurus. There you go.
God damn it.
There's this game on the DS called Fossil Fighters where you dig up fossils and then like you turn that fossil into a dinosaur and then you fight the dinosaur. So it's kind of like Pokemon, but
okay.
So I was just thinking, like, what if it was like Red Dead Redemption, but you find the fossil and the fossil that you find is the dinosaur that you get to keep. Where's my money? Take two.
Yeah.
Wait, where's your money?
Studio Wildcard.
Yeah, that's my idea.
Oh, okay.
do we know what country they're from?
I don't care.
Are they American?
No, I don't think they are. Looks like Connor's on it.
Because it's like I'm serious, maybe every year Studio Wildcard does.
No, they are. They are American. Yeah.
They do something that just pisses everybody off.
Out of Washington and Gainesville, Florida.
Oh, wow.
That explains it.
That explains it right.
Headquarters says Redmond, Washington. You know who also is based in Redmond, Washington?
A bunch of people based
Nintendo.
Oh, yeah. Nintendo of America. There's yeah, why? Now,
as of 2016, they had 35 employees.
Yeah, there needs to be Jason, can you Schreier.
Guy. Come on.
Can you get into Studio Wildcard? Let us know why every few years they like punch their servers right in the face and go nuts. Anyway, what's the next?
It's like wild cards. Come on.
A bunch of possible Sega games have leaked, and by a bunch I mean 2. Over the weekend, somebody found a video posted to Twitter on April 4th featuring a sizzle reel of sorts. This reel included several Sega games that are reportedly being created, including a new Jet Set Radio, Persona 3 remake, and beta footage from Sonic Frontiers. Apparently, this video is in line with previous talks of a video that was shown internally as a sort of a pitch for other projects. Doesn't mean that these 2 titles are confirmed or being made, even though sources are saying that, yeah, they are. But it's a lot of work to go through just to like make a sizzle reel like that, you know? So, yeah.
I wanted to update that arc. So I'm just reading straight from Christina Alexander, IGN. Studio Wildcard has announced that it will be scrapping the Ark Survival Ascended bundle following backlash from fans.
Oh, wow. Cool.
So that was just this morning. So it looks like, you know what, I'm not going to read through this because it's like, here's all the additions. And it doesn't matter. So it looks like they're backpedaling on that, which is fine, I guess. But man, Vin Diesel was in the trailer.
Yeah, that's for the second one. Yeah,
God.
Arc 2. Yeah. All
right, and he's looking like The Rock from Scorpion King almost. But anyway,
he's looking a little Groody. Phil Harrison has left Google. That's all.
No,
that's it.
So Phil Harrison is a person.
Yeah,
and I never want to be.
No, he's the bad guy.
Yeah, I know, but it's like. I try to take my personal meanness out on people that deserve it morally. Kotick, Ishmael, whatever.
Sure.
Phil Harrison just seems like the Lane Kiffin, another sports thing. I'm sorry.
Okay.
He with the Raiders wasn't good. With Tennessee,
the Raiders aren't good in general. So.
Well, that's true, but definitely wasn't good with Lane Kiffin. But I guess I don't know.
But he's okay. He's also just never done anything.
But I'm sure he's a good dude.
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
but
probably.
Man, Google Stadia was just bad from the get-go.
You remember when they announced Stadia? Like they had all of these this gaming memorabilia outside of their
vaguely.
Yeah, so before you entered they had museum stands that had it's the Atari 2600, Dreamcast, Power Glove, blah, 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 and stuff like that. Well, all of those things they had in front of the auditorium you had to enter. Mm-hmm. All of those things were failed products, badly, that they had in front, because the Dreamcast failed, not terribly, but it failed. The Power Glove was awful, yeah, and they had a bunch of, E.T. was there too, and it was just a bunch of, so I don't know, he's PS3, Xbox One, Google Stadia.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Launch Xbox One. That he is the definition of failing upward.
Yeah, so I don't want to be, I don't want to be mean, but it just feels like, it's like Forrest Gump. It's like every time a national event happens, Forrest Gump is right around the corner, accidentally looking through a window or something like that. Anyway, okay.
Well, strike 3. MPDs.
Oh, MPDs! Yay.
Oh, we don't have a sounder. Damn it.
No, we need to.
No, that's okay. You don't have to. But I really like that first one.
Somebody said no.
Yeah,
so
I did.
Talking about you.
No. Well, yeah, I did. I said no to it.
February 2023 marks the highest monthly year-on-year percentage growth for the U.S. video game market since October 2021, when spending increased 13% compared to October of 2020. Spending on video game content increased 1% in February when compared to a year ago to $3.9 billion. Growth in digital content across consoles and PC platforms, as well as non-mobile subscription spending, offset a decline in mobile. Hogwarts Legacy was the best-selling game in both February 23 as well as 23 year-to-date. Hogwarts Legacy also ranked first in February sales across each of the PlayStation, Xbox, and Steam platforms. 7 of the top 20 best-selling games of February were new releases. Yay! Awesome. That's great news.
Oh, yeah. Whoa.
Wild Hearts, number 8. Like a Dragon Ishin, number 9. Octopath Traveler, number 10. Also ranking among the top 10 best-selling titles during February. Last of Us Part 1 rose 5 spots on the February chart, placing 6th after ranking 11th in January. Last of Us Part 2 also returned to the top 20 in February, finishing 18th overall following 41st place in January.
And following the TV show.
Yes. That damn Pedro Pascal. In mobile content, Sensor Tower reports the top 10 games by U.S. consumer spending as Candy Crush Saga, Roblox, Royal Match, Pokemon Go, Coin Master. I played that game before. I thought it was just a throwaway game, and now here it is in the top. Anyways, Township, Bingo Blitz, Homescapes, Jackpot Party, and Evany. Never heard of that one. Video game hardware spending increased 68% when compared to February 2021 to $495 million. This is the highest video game hardware spend for February month since the $534 million total reached in 2009. It's a long time.
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
Okay,
damn.
Interesting.
Growth in PS5 hardware spending drove the February hardware market gains. PS5 was the best-selling hardware platform in units and dollars over both the February 23 and 23 year-to-date time periods.
Whoa. So even more than the Switch?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yep. That doesn't happen very often, does it?
It doesn't happen often, but I mean, we are kind of...
As the PS5 becomes more available, we'll start to see a little bit more of...
And not that the Switch isn't doing well. The Switch is still doing phenomenally, but we're not going to have a... Zelda's the big guy in May. That's going to probably rule the next couple months after that. Well, maybe because I think Street Fighter 6 comes out in June. I don't know. But year-to-date hardware spending is now 29% higher when compared to the same period in 22 last year. And accessory spending grew 13% in February when compared to a year ago to $212 million. And growth in virtual reality headsets offset a drop in gamepad spending. So people were spending less on controllers, but they spent a little more on VR headsets.
Okay, interesting.
That is interesting.
Have you seen the stuff on the PSVR 2? Did you see it was selling poorly?
I think that was... I don't want to say that's to be expected, but I mean...
I feel like it's to be expected.
Because even if you look at the original PSVR, like, it sold 4 million units, which I don't think is anything to scoff at for a VR headset. But honestly, it didn't get to that number until they had several price drops, like a year and a half, 2 years later. So
yeah,
we did have one. Someone brought one into our Phoenix location, and one of my other employees got to it before I did. So I was hoping to check it out and see how it was. But whatever.
I'm really excited. Do you, off the top of your head, does Resident Evil 4, are they planning on...
It will have an update.
Oh my God.
I know.
Okay, now, I could get through Resident Evil 4 VR.
Resident Evil 8 has one too.
That one I don't know, because Resident Evil 8 gets really creepy a couple times. You know the parts I'm talking about.
Wait, where are you in Resident Evil 4?
I mean, the spider things are creepy.
Okay.
I can handle them. I can handle them.
Oh, okay.
I don't think they're that bad.
Wow.
I mean, I played Alien in VR with the face huggers.
Okay.
Those are pretty creepy. But I'm
thankful the remake of Resident Evil 2 didn't have the spiders in it, because those
are just giant tarantulas.
Those were literal giant tarantulas. Yeah.
Blech. But the that one part in Resident Evil 8.
Oh yeah, the
baby part. I don't know if I'll be able to do that in VR.
Well,
that's terrifying.
I haven't played the DLC, but the DLC has a pretty bad part in it as well. I don't like.
It's a brilliant part.
Oh, you did it?
No, I mean in Resident Evil 8.
Oh,
how they set it up and everything.
Oh yeah,
is brilliant.
But
it's just terrifying.
In the DLC, it's the same house, but it's the puppets instead. But they're life size and they're faceless, and they do that little like.
Ooh.
Yeah, and they don't move unless you turn, unless you're not looking at
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that shit gets me on that.
Yep. That would be terrifying in VR. You move your head. Do we have any other NPDs, or was that?
No more NPDs and no more tidbits, but I have that story to give.
Hell yeah. It's a Richard.
I'll look through it. I'll tell you what I give you. That's how this works.
Story.
Get that 1,000-yard stare. So we need some context to this.
Okay.
Right when we walked in, you were talking about Starfield and how excited you were about that.
Yeah.
Can you just give me a little rundown, and then I'll get to my story?
Oh, just about Starfield?
Yeah.
Kotaku had a story on it today. I watched a trailer. So it looks, and I read a little bit about it, and apparently they're going more of like a hard sci-fi route.
Okay, cool.
Which is more sort of the Elite Dangerous route, right? Where it's like, it's more 2001: A Space Odyssey than it is Star Wars. which I am 1,000,000,000% down for. But I'm just a fan of space. I'm a fan, like in the spaceship, the cockpit had all these different buttons on it and stuff like that. So that looks awesome. And if, like, it doesn't matter. You could tell, Tyler, there's this video game about the color gray. Oh, that sounds boring. Yeah, but it takes place on a spaceship in space. I'll buy 4 copies, please. Like, that's
I'll take your entire stock.
I'll take your entire stock. Like that's me. So okay, there's the.
So there's the okay. So this happened. I believe it was about a half a year ago now. It was towards the end of last year. I had this guy come in. He called me and he asked if I took any merchandise, like particularly Bethesda merchandise. And I was like, well, if it's related to video games, sure, I'll take it. Like normally we do video games, but if it's like figure of a video game character or something, somebody is bound to buy it. It's relating to video games, so sure, I'll take it. So he comes in and he has a bunch of really cool stuff, and he has the Power Armor helmet, the Nuka-Cola edition. So it's colored like Nuka-Cola.
Oh wow!
And apparently it's a Bethesda employee exclusive one.
Interesting.
Yeah, no, it was very cool looking, but he revealed to me that he works for Bethesda here in Arizona. Like he's just like remote.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I get to talking to him about that. I'm like, oh, that's very cool. Talk to him a little bit of Fallout 76 and stuff. And this is when it was about 2 months after they showed off that like 10-minute Starfield clip. And so we get on discussion about Starfield, and he gets real like stoked, and he's just like, what do you think, man? Like, are you super excited? And I was just like, no.
Classic Richard.
And he's kind of like shocked. So he's like, what? It looks awesome. And I'm like, well, you didn't really show me anything, man. Like, you showed me 10 minutes. Cool. But it looks like Skyrim in space, which I doubt it's going to be Skyrim in space, but I can't judge the game based off the like, and there was pushback from him, not like angrily, but it was just, well, we have so much more. And I'm like, dude, I'm sure you do. Like, and I'm kind of excited for it too, but it's just,
like hyped.
Right. Yeah. It's like when the Street Fighter 6 trailer came out and it was just a trailer. Everybody's, oh my God, it looks so awesome. I'm like, no, it doesn't. You don't know what it looks like. There's nothing here. Like, let me either like play a small demo, or you give me like, I think there's going to be like a 30-minute thing next month or in June for Starfield. Like, then I'll watch it. Then I'll decide if I'm excited or not. But yeah, he looked absolutely crushed, and I think I pissed him off actually. Telling him that like I didn't think it looked cool. It's not that it doesn't look cool, but it's just I need to see more before I get excited about something that is still a year and a half away, presumably, or like over a year away. So yeah, when I came in and you got excited about Starfield, I was like, oh yeah, like this, I got to tell this story.
This shit again.
So that was it. No, it wasn't like this shit, but it's just, but yeah, like I went to that Kotaku article while we were sitting here, and I saw like so much more they showed, and I was like, okay, that looks cool. That looks really cool. Yeah. But yeah, the first gameplay they showed was just like you're on a little moon base and you're just, and it's like, oh, okay.
Dragon in the background.
Yeah.
A sword, a shield. Wait a second.
Just a Skyrim mod.
Just opens right back up to Skyrim. Okay, well, hey, integrity and games journalism. Good job. Good job. Yeah. Are you excited? No, fuck you.
Get the fuck out of my store.
Yeah, I hate Bethesda.
Take your helmet.
Here's what happened. You came in. You're fired.
Fine. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook at The Gaming Discourse. Go to our YouTube channel, YouTube/Gaming Discourse, Patreon.com/The Gaming Discourse. Go check out the Scorn video, like, comment, destroy the like button.
Salt and battery the like button.
Battery the bell icon. And we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.